Hello and welcome back to the GDPR and Data Protection Diaries. You join us working from home today because if you are watching this in the current coronavirus epidemic, then you will understand why that's the case. If you're watching this in 2 to 3 years' time, then I hope you made it through and I hope that everyone managed to stay safe during this period. As always, if you find these videos useful, please do give us a like, give us a comment and share as well. It really helps us to spread the word out to the wider community. So if you can do that, that would be fantastic. In this particular video, we're going to be looking at privacy policies. So during this kind of lockdown period, lots of people are working at home. Lots of people have got a bit more time to spend on the things that they've possibly been putting off. And one of the things that a lot of people seem to be doing is actually updating their website. Now here at iStorm, we've been updating our own website as well, so make sure you head on over and have a look at that. But more importantly, lots of our clients, lots of our customers, and lots of people out in the world are also taking the opportunity to update their websites. Now, if you're updating your website, then one of the things that often gets put to the back of the queue is the privacy notice. The privacy notice is obviously where you display all of the information about what kind of personal data processing your organization does and who somebody can contact if they have any concerns about it. Now, it often gets pushed to the bottom of the pile because, to be honest, it's a bit of a pain and people don't really like to tackle it. So in this video, we're going to look at the 5 top tips for creating a privacy policy that is not only compliant, but also works for your company, your website, and your organization. So that's enough of the waffle. Let's get on with the video. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to count down from 5 to 1. So in at number 5, the first tip that we have is make sure that you are using layering if you possibly can. Now, this will really depend on your technical abilities and also your website, but where possible, using layering makes a privacy notice much easier for somebody to consume and use the information. When we talk about layering, what we're essentially saying is each section is sort of pushed up into an accordion on the website, so that when you click on the highlighted text, it drops down the first section. You click on the next section, so how we use your information, it drops down the next section. Contact details, the next section drops down. The reason this is a recommended approach is it just makes it easier than having a much bigger block of single text that is actually very hard for somebody to read, and it allows people to pick the certain things that they're looking for. So they may just be looking for your contact details. If you can't use layering or you don't have that functionality on your website, then what we always recommend is you make sure you have good, clear, bold headers for each section of your privacy notice, and make sure that you're using good spacing between those headers so that it's really easy for people reading it to find the information that they're looking for as they're going down and going through the notice. In at number 4, make sure that you keep your privacy notice separate to any other notices on your website. One of the things that the GDPR mandates is that the privacy notice should actually be separate to the cookies notice. So you should have a cookies notice that explains what cookies are on your website. It's a completely different video. But what you need to make sure is that your privacy notice and your cookies notice are 2 separate documents. So 2 separate hyperlinks on your website, 2 separate pieces of text. You should also make sure that your privacy notice is separate from any terms and conditions or terms of use that you may have on your website. Now, the reason for this is, again, as within the first tip, is to make it easier for the consumer or easier for a visitor to your website to be able to read and process and access the information that they really need as to how you are processing and using their personal data. In at number 3, make sure that the contact details for your organization are really clear and simple to understand. For a privacy notice to be compliant, you have to list the controller, so the organization that is responsible for overall control and processing of the information that you use. And you should also, if you have one, provide contact details for your data protection officer. That is not always going to be the same place or the same address. So make sure that you're really clear about who's the data controller, who's the data protection officer, or who they can complain to. So what department they can contact and what the contact details of those departments are. We'd always recommend using a generic email address for something like that. So info@complaints@inquiries@ your organisation, and having a shared mailbox that a number of people can have access to will allow you to have some resilience in case anybody is off sick, so that you're not missing any queries, you're not missing any complaints. More importantly, you're not missing any data subject access requests that may come through as a result of somebody reading your privacy notice. So again, make sure that those addresses are clear and make sure it's obvious what each detail, contact details are for. In at number 2, make sure that you are being clear and transparent about what information you are processing, the purposes for processing that information, and what the individual's rights are with regards to accessing that information. It is absolutely fundamental within a privacy notice for an organisation to be open, to be honest, and to be transparent. This is your opportunity to explain to a visitor, a customer, a potential customer, what your organisation does with the information it collects and why it believes it has a lawful basis for carrying out that activity. This really is a window onto your organisation and your privacy management practices. So if you're writing your privacy notice and you feel uncomfortable and you think, I don't really want to put that down, I don't really want people to know that we do that with their information, then this is the opportunity for you to go, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. Maybe that's something that we need to change. If you are not comfortable sharing that information, if you are not comfortable documenting those processing activities, then to be honest, you shouldn't be doing them. So this is a fantastic opportunity to have a look at your organisation, have a look at the information you're processing, and identify whether or not you've got the appropriate lawful basis, and more importantly, that you're comfortable to write that down and share that with the rest of the world. So transparency is absolutely key when you're doing this. And in at number 1, my absolute number 1 top tip for writing any kind of privacy notice is keep it simple. We all would have seen the 130 odd page privacy notices from organisations such as Facebook or Google or Amazon. These organisations, whether they have to have them or whether they think that it's just a good way of bamboozling people, I don't know. They are large and complex organisations, but the average organisation is not that complex. When you're writing your privacy notice, keep it clear, keep it simple, stick to the facts, use bullet points where you possibly can. Try and avoid any kind of jargon. So even when you're talking about the GDPR, make sure that you're calling it by its full name, at least somewhere within the policy. When you're talking about subject access requests, if you want to call it a DSAR, again, make sure that you're explaining that acronym. If you have any internal acronyms that you use, again, don't assume that somebody is going to understand what you're talking about. So make sure you're using clear, simple, plain English language. Once you've written your privacy notice, we always recommend that you share it with another department, a member of your family, somebody that doesn't necessarily understand your business, and ask them to read it. Does it make sense? Would they feel comfortable buying something from your organisation or from your website based on the information that you've been provided? Is it clear and is it easy for somebody to understand? And by somebody, I mean anybody. Your nan, your dad, your mum, your sister, your brother, anybody that might be using your products or services. It's really important that the privacy notice is easily accessible, easy to understand, otherwise it defeats the object of having one in the first place. Now, As always, this is a fairly short overview of the concept of privacy notices, and I hope you have found it useful. If you do have any questions or there's anything you'd like to go into in more depth, please do get in touch. And obviously you'll catch the website running across the bottom of the page, and you'll catch my email address at the end of this video. If you did enjoy this video, please do give us a like, give us a share, give us a thumbs up. It really does help us to get this out further, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.